first 3 steps,
huge strides in the performance.
that I might not be the player I am today.
So today we got Kurtis Gabriel from Newmarket, I think is where home is for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now finding your home this summer in London, Ontario, which is kind of cool. So how do you like London so far?
Yeah, it's good. It's just kind of like a small city, but it's big enough to kind of, drive around. There's a bunch of stuff to do. It's kind of like Des Moines, Iowa, where I play a little bit. It's not too big, not too small. Traffic's never too bad.
Yeah.
I like it. It's not the big city. It's just a little step down.
Yeah,
kinda.
totally. And you got Western University, which has a lot of very attractive women wheeling around,
And, yeah,
which one of them
that's,
happens to be.
That happens to be my girlfriend, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I'm here. So
And
yeah,
is she part of the? Yeah, go ahead.
shout
Shout
out Karina Schnur.
There you go.
Yeah,
And she's part of the blonde haired, very attractive
brunette actually.
brunette. Okay.
Brunette guy.
So she's in the brunette club. I got
Brunette
you.
club.
Okay.
Dyed
Perfect.
dyes it blonde.
Yeah. It's once in a while, right? You got to change it up.
Yeah, so that's why I'm here. So she, her favorite teacher in high school was Logan Couture's mom, and they're really close. So she kind of got me set up with Jeff Van Dam, just as far as a workout guy.
Cool.
I was like, I looked around, he seemed to be training like these Dowdian guys, and once I met him, it seemed like a good option.
Cool. And then how'd you get my name? Was it through Van Dam or was it through Buddies?
Grayovac.
Oh, okay.
So
okay, good.
I looked up just skills guys,
Yeah.
first of all, like just general search. And then I obviously saw TPH, and then I asked Grayo because I saw Washington Capitals.
Yeah.
He said, I met him. I don't know him too well, but
Yeah.
he seems to know his stuff. And he's like, it seems like your kind of guy, which
Yeah.
obviously we found is true.
For sure.
So, then once we met, I just, you seem to think the game, speak the game the way I do and how I want it. We talk so much. We talk almost half the time we're
Totally.
out there,
Yeah.
besides doing stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're one of the guys. I work with a lot of guys, and you have certain guys that just give me the drills, give me the technique a little bit. Where you like to go real in depth, which I love, so we can break stuff down to the minute thing.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that.
Yeah.
And with you, you'll stop mid stride, just be
I
like,
start
I
laughing,
messed
like,
this
yeah,
up,
exactly, yeah.
which is awesome, and it's good. Like it's good to have guys like that are that bought into what they're doing development wise, because it helps so much. You know what I mean? So let's kind of go back a little bit, but Newmarket.
Yeah.
I mean, born and raised there. Obviously, you've got your family's all from there, and
Yeah.
so you've got how many siblings? Yeah.
Just one brother, never played hockey.
Okay.
My mom, stepdad.
Yeah.
And 2 stepbrothers. But growing up, it was just playing for the Newmarket Redmen. That was the team in town. So started as 2 years of house league, a year of select, I think, then right to double A, and then double A for a couple years. And then my dad, who was kind of, his main sport was baseball. I liked baseball. I was probably better at baseball, but
Yeah.
I liked hockey better.
Yeah.
And he knew that. So kind of pushed me to get all my releases from all the double A teams. Because I wasn't making the York Simcoe Express. They were
Right.
a loaded team with Katachi, Goodrow, all these,
Oh, okay.
Murphy, all those guys.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to make that team. They were winning everything every year. So
Yeah.
I went to Richmond Hill, and I tried out there and made the team AAA. So I was like, wow, I'm 10 years old. It's weird to talk like a 10-year-old.
No, it's great, yeah.
But that's how
But you
hockey is
remember
here.
it though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how it is.
Yeah.
So I remember going to those tryouts, and it was me and Barclay Goodrow, who plays on the San Jose Sharks now, and he was a guy that eventually went to play for York Simcoe, but we were kind of like, the coaches had never heard of me. I was like, it's funny how they hear 10-year-olds, but they were like, oh yeah, you two guys are like our go-to guys for this year, and the year started out good, and then my dad actually took his own life when I was 10.
No way.
So that kind of, I don't know, I can't remember too much, but I just know that confidence kind of went out the window as a 10-year-old.
Man, I can't imagine.
My mom doesn't know anything about hockey. My
Yeah.
dad was pushing it. So kind of just, it's weird to say you got buried on a AAA at a 10-year-old, but I just didn't want to play hockey. It wasn't fun. I didn't get to play. So right from there, my mom just said, screw that. Let's go back to Newmarket, single A, double A the rest of my life. And then when I was, so at 16, guys are starting to get drafted to the OHL. So I that wasn't even in my thought process at all. I was playing hockey for fun.
And you were playing double A at this
Playing
point,
double
right?
A, yeah. So I had minor midget. That's the draft year. It wasn't even in my mind. I was just having fun. And then, so all those guys get drafted. The top guys don't even notice really. But all these other guys start trying out for the Newmarket Hurricanes junior A team. Me and my mom are sitting there like, you're just as good as him. Why don't you go try out there? You like playing hockey? I'm like, okay, I'll go try out. So go try out. It's like $50 to try out and, play decent. But they're like, hey, you haven't even played at the highest level yet for your age. So you got to go play major midget. So Daryl Sorrow is a scout. I still talk to him sometimes. He got me to the Markham Waxers midget team AAA. And I played a year there. And the coach was Gord Fournier. And I remember he told me, he's like, I'm sure, you can play, kid, but if I can tell he could tell the way I practice and stuff. I loved hockey so much. He's like, if you want to play any higher than this, you have to start being more physical. Like, you're not going to be able to play at a higher level. So me and my mom started realizing that, and everything I do with my mom, it's kind of like you just made a plan. All right, the coach said you'd be more physical. Okay, if you want to keep doing it, if you don't do it if you don't like it, but see how it goes. So play more physical. Oh, I like it. It can be more effective. So I played there the whole year, and then I tried out a little bit for the Stouffville Spirit Junior A. They had me as an affiliate that year just in case. Then after that season, I was working out. And I went to start playing baseball, but I went to a tryout and I broke my wrist. So I was like, okay, well, I can't play baseball.
For like a hockey or try? Okay.
At a hockey tryout in the spring in April to go into the next year.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I can't play baseball. I'm a pitcher. It's my right hand. So I'm just going to shut baseball down and just work out. And actually, this is the first summer I actually worked out for hockey. So I was 17 turning 18 now because I missed my first year.
Yeah.
And I was like 179 pounds, 6'3", just bone rack. And I went to Randy Smith out in Stouffville. He's got a gym called Body Smith, and a lot of like Stamkos used to train there when he was younger, and a couple of players. So we looked it up online, just like I found you. Looked it up. Who should I train with? Oh, okay, this guy seems to have some good players. Let's go try there. And it was like old school training, he'd have the heat, and the hangar doors like in the movies, like flipping tires and running in the 100-degree heat, and got in like the best shape of my life. And I would just eat like a maniac because I had to gain weight, and it's so funny. But I don't want kids to be doing this out there. But I literally had a trainer. The guy told me, he's like, you got to just drink like milkshakes and like I don't care. He thought it was hilarious. Put Guinness in it too, just to add calories. So he's like these Guinness like 3 eggs and ice cream just to load calories in me. And I gained like 20 pounds, so I was like 100.
He's super old school. When you can tie beer into a diet.
My grandpa loved it. He'd go pick up some Guinness and be like, "Here goes your Guinness for the week." I'm 17.
Yeah,
couldn't even buy it. So put on 19 pounds. I was 190 now. I made the Hurricanes in their spring kind of summer thing, and then they're like, "All right, well, we signed you." And I'm like, "That was huge." Like it's like the NHL for me. Mom are like, "Mom's crying. You work so hard." So I'm like, "All right, so I'm gonna just train again all summer here." So that was after playing the midget year. And then they're like, I go skate at Junior C Georgina Ice, which is just their tryouts, but they're our affiliate. So you're with us, but just go skate with them.
Yeah.
So it was like scrimmages. And I was playing against kids that in Newmarket Junior A, or when I was younger, would play against these Georgina kids. And we hated each other. Yeah. And now we could fight. So I was still playing physical and playing my type of game. And I had like 3 goals, and I crushed 2 guys, and I fought this other kid and like busted his nose up. And this scout happened to be there from Owen Sound, and he was watching Joel Hanley, who was his friend's kid at this skate too.
Okay.
And I come off the ice, and I'm still screaming at the guy. I'm like going nuts, and the guy opened the door, and I step off, and the guy's right there. He's like, "Do you want to try out for the Owen Sound Attack?" And I'm like, "What the hell's that?" And he's like, "OHL." I'm like, pfft. Like I'm not good enough for that. I'm going to try to play NCAA. And then he comes out and meets me and my mom in the lobby. Mom was there, and he's like, "Yeah, we really want to try out." And I remember I was like my first time driving the car with my mom, and we got pulled over by like this ride program. And we're like, "Hey, we just got asked to try out for the OHL. This is the best day of our lives. This is sweet. We're not going to go though." He comes to my skate the next day where I was doing privates with some guy, and he goes, "No, like I think you could make the team." And we're like, "What the? This guy's not kidding." We were kind of really surprised. So then my junior A team, Newmarket, found out about it, and they're like, "Don't go there. Like, they're going to want you to sign. Like, we think you're going to make it." And I was like, "Come on, I'm just going to go for the experience and get up there." And I guess I played really well, beat up a guy in camp, whatever. Next thing you know, they got a contract in front of me, and me and my mom are going, "We don't know what to do. I don't have an agent. My mom doesn't know anything about hockey."
Yeah.
So do I go to junior A where I don't know if I'm going to get a scholarship down the road? Maybe I'll develop more, but I have this, best league in the world contract to be here right now. So I just couldn't pass that up and signed that, and then.
Now on that contract, so obviously you were in that era where school packages was a big thing, right?
Exactly.
So what was the school package that you got? Was it 1 year for service?
It was per year I played. I got like 10 grand towards it, so it was pretty good.
That's awesome.
For a free agent.
Because that's kind of like a lot of parents get that like scholarship, and I hear from parents all the time like, "Oh, if my kid could just get us," if he just gets a scholarship, like that's so hard. And that decision that you and your mom made, I think, is a real smart one. And I tell kids all the time, if you've got an opportunity to play in the O, and they're going to give you a year or two of schooling, that's a scholarship for a year or two, even if it's just a little bit of money. Mm-hmm. And the fact, you ended up playing in the O for how long? Continue on?
4 years, yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of the way I've always gone about this is like, just go all out. So at that time, that was the go all out. Like, don't think too far down the road, just go all in now, OHL. So I made that team. Happened to be that was the first year Owen Sound wins the OHL championship. Best team we've ever had, best team in the O. We dominated. I played 40 games, played maybe 3 shifts a game, and then after January, I didn't play a game. So after the trade deadline. So I was just practicing like extra hour with this coach, Mark Reeds. He ended up being, and he passed away now, but he would just, he loved it, how hard I wanted to work, and he saw it in me, and he just wanted to keep practicing and practice and practice. And ice and inches of snow, I just keep practicing because I had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
It was my last year of high school. I was like, depressed. I just don't even play. The boys are out having fun. I'm not even part of the team, I feel like.
Yeah.
Just get my mom's like, she's a teacher. My mom's a teacher. So just get your schooling done so you don't have to go back next year. So I focused on that, got that done. They went all the way to Memorial Cup, so I missed prom, missed all this stuff. I'm like, holy cow, like this kind of sucks. They win the championship. So then I, out of nowhere, got invited to the Phoenix Coyotes development camp. And I had an outside chance of getting drafted, apparently, just because how hard I have reputation, I have a work ethic I had, and that I was big and raw.
Yeah.
So Jeff Toohey, who I still am in contact with, he was a scout with the Coyotes then. So he got me down there, and I was like running around the house when I heard that because I hadn't even played.
It's amazing.
I wasn't even a rookie in the OHL.
Yeah.
You got to think about that. I was like a 17-year-old nowhere hockey player.
Well, from AA, like
from AA
to
basically.
AAA midget. But I mean, that's
And then I'm at an NHL camp.
it's awesome.
So
yeah,
I go there, and then I go to training camp, and I make the first round of cuts, and I'm like, Jesus, like what's going on here? I do the skate test. I keep up with like the oldest guy in camp. Like I'm putting on a show and I'm feeling really good. And then obviously I'm not going to get signed or anything. He wanted me to, I think too. He said that he probably thought we should have maybe given you just a bottom end deal just to get you.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was happy. I said, hey, I made it for the first couple rounds of cuts. The show guys were around me. I'm feeling like, hey, I've grown up a bit now. Thinking I'm going to go back to the OHL and I'm going to have a monster year. I'm going to get drafted as an 18-year-old. I'm going to play second line. I'm going to play power play. Idiot, right? I get back there. They have a new coach because Mark Reed's moved on. Because there goes the guy that knows how hard I work. So we have Greg Ireland come in, and I'm a fourth line guy.
And he's a different cat.
He's a different kind of coach.
Yeah.
Me and him had our battles and stuff. But from that whole year, it was just a garbage year. Like I played every game, but I had like 16 points. I didn't even. I decided to start fighting. So I got in 10 fights, got my ass kicked 10 times by younger kids because I hadn't even boxed or anything.
For sure.
So after that year, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, they're telling me in my exit meeting, I got to get meaner. I got to do this. I got to do that. So it's just like, I could have just said, you know what, I'm just going to be this type of player. I'll go back and play Newmarket or whatever. But
sure.
I dug down again, trained my ass off again, took boxing, went down to this guy named Mike Marsden. He was like the second black guy to ever play in the NHL, but he was a nails tough dude from Sudbury, I think.
No way, cool.
So he was teaching me all these crazy like techniques. He used to train national. I'm learning to fight a little bit. I'm learning to skate better. I'm learning to work on my skills. And I'm like, geez, like I gotta have a year here, or I'm screwed. So obviously no action at the draft, no development camps. It's quiet. So I just had to work my ass off, and I came into camp that year. And had an okay camp or whatever, but again, to start the year, I'm like the fourth line, I'm like the extra, and I had to sit down with my coach, Ireland, and I was like, man, like I need a little bit of a chance here just to see if I can go here. And I got put on the third line with Holden Cook and Kyle Hope, and from that day on, we were the team's third line, check-in line, play against the other team's top lines. I had like 13 goals, 28 points, fought a bunch of guys, have beat a lot of guys up. And, I remember there's a Christmas party, and all the people are there, and my GM, Dale DeGray, who I'm still close with, he comes up to me and my mom, he goes, you're going to get drafted. And I almost like fell over. I was like, what do you mean I'm going to get drafted? Like, what is that? What do you mean? I never even thought that was a possibility at this point. I was like, maybe I'll be an overager, maybe I'll get signed. He's like, no, you're gonna get drafted. I think you might even go to the draft. And I'm like, you freaking kidding me? So from then on, I was just even more pumped and more driven.
Sure.
Had a great playoffs, and Minnesota was there watching. So then I went through the whole process. I talked to like 23 teams, go driving down 5 days in a row to talk to teams in Toronto. So every day.
Were you part of the combine a bit then?
I wasn't a part of the
but you went down and
because I
interviewed.
wasn't ranked in the top
100
or
whatever it is. Yeah.
So, but
it's only the top 100, so it's a tough class. But getting a bunch of invites is huge, man. That's
it's
really
like
good.
The 100 in Europe, 100 here, and they put them together, right? So I was like the hidden kind of, people didn't want me to know that other teams were talking to me. So I was like going through like back doors, talking to Edmonton, talking to all these teams. And I'm like, geez, like this is crazy. I thought Nashville really liked me. Edmonton really liked me. So we actually go down to the draft, and my agent's like, probably fifth round, but if somebody really likes you, you could go third. And I'm like thinking, are you kidding me?
Wow.
Third round. And I remember my last meeting was with Craig Channel, the Minnesota Wild. It was at a Tim Hortons down the street from my house. We talked for like 2 hours. Literally just talked about hockey like you and me right now. It wasn't like an interview. It was just shooting the crap, right?
Yeah.
And I remember we were looking down the draft order. We're sitting there, and it's like Minnesota and then like Edmonton and Nashville. And you could see the tables are all normal and stuff. And then what happened? Somebody picked Minnesota was up and we're like, I'm not going to Minnesota. I feel like it's Edmonton International. And then Minnesota picked me. And I remember, oh my God, I've got picked. But Edmonton's table was like bustling around after because they were going to pick me. So I was like, I couldn't believe how
No way. That's cool.
that people wanted me. So that was really cool. And
what round was that in?
Third round.
Third round. Good for you.
So that was crazy. Like people are still, fans are still in Minnesota. Oliver Bjorkstrand was taking like 2 picks after me. He's like an NHL. Like, oh, brutal pick, Gabriel. But it was pretty cool to go there. And,
it's amazing, man.
Yeah. So then I went to my first camp, and they basically gave me the option to, do you want to play here and be like 4th line in the NHL or AHL and have to fight like a bunch of dudes, or go back to junior? I was like, I should probably go back and play. And I thought I was going to go back and play first line and net front of the power play and PK and everything. I went back there. I thought I'd be, the captain and all this stuff. So I ended up just playing second line, no special teams. Wasn't the captain. It was kind of like a weird year.
For sure.
I still had 51 points in 60-something games for a guy like me, and I thought that was pretty good.
It's really good.
Without playing power play. So it was an interesting year, but I still got to play more, got to go on a regular shift and not think about not playing and stuff. So that was good. And then turned pro, and first year pro was obviously a big learning curve. Played there the whole year. Second year, got called up early. Didn't get to play. Got called up again. Played my first game. Fought Thorburn my first game against Winnipeg.
And how'd that go?
It went pretty good. He kind of like he's big boy. I was skinnier back then. I know I'm skinny now, but I put on some weight. But
you're a thick kid.
He kind of knocked me off balance, but I still landed a couple. Got sent down, went back up, played a couple more games. So I played 3 games that year.
Good.
But then in the playoffs, just the way their lineup was going, and I was playing. I down in Iowa, I was playing really well, like really physical, and I got called up for the playoffs because they lost the first 2 games against Dallas, and then they were coming home. So I played 4 straight games that series. We won the first 2 games at home, and then they ended up winning in 6. But that was pretty cool to play 4 playoff games.
That's amazing. Yeah,
that was mind blowing. So then again, you're like, oh, I played playoff games now.
Here we go
again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna make the team right out of camp, and nope, not a good camp, and didn't feel good. And it's kind of what we've talked about, how it's almost developing now that I get like an anxiety towards like being tired and stuff. So it's just another adversity. Like I'm always trying to, like my game is just built on energy. So if I don't feel good, then it gets in my head.
Yeah.
So I've had to battle through that, and
we'll kind of probably tend to overthink, right?
Exactly. Like when we were talking tonight, I'm over analytical. So I'm working on that now with a sports psychologist a lot, like twice a week, working on it every day. It's more important than the on ice at this point.
Yeah.
But anyway, went down. Then I got called up. This was not this season, the season before. So third year pro, I played a month and a half up in the show, and that was like, we won 12 games. It was the best time of my life. I'm like I'm fighting every other night. My hands are stitched together. I'm like, this is how it's gonna be. Like I'm a 4th line guy.
Plus, you're making NHL money.
Making 700. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then Jordan Schrader, a good buddy of mine, comes up and scores like 4 points in 5 games on the 4th line, and they're like, we can't keep you up here. He's playing too well. Bujo had some nice things to say, and that I'm going to be a player eventually as long as I keep working. It might be a couple years down the road. Didn't get to go back up the rest of the year. That was tough, but just played it out. And then came in for another camp, and again, didn't feel the right way. And that's when I finally realized it was totally a mental thing and not how I'm training. So again, working on it again, back to the drawing board. And then I got my wrist sliced this year.
That's right.
The 2 tendons and the nerve. So that kind of.
And that put you out for a good 20 games, was it?
Yeah, like 3 months.
It's tough, man. That's a lot of the season,
and
right?
that's kind of early. That's kind of when they would they called up a whole bunch of forwards before me. But I was playing well, and apparently from what's been communicated, I was playing the most consistent in my role in pro, and I was going to get a chance to go up and play. And then obviously I got hurt, and it kind of took that away. But no, I was kind of worried going into exit meetings this year. That was kind of be a little tough, but they said, "Hey, no, we still believe in you. We think you work so hard. You just got to fine tune little things and just be more, just extra simple. You got to be so trustworthy. The coaches getting pucks deep, and not making those egregious turnovers that lead to goals and all those little things. So that's where it's just kind of more again mental, hammering that away, skating with you, skills with you, getting strong in the gym. So I'm just trying to pull it all together here." Now as a UFA with Group 6 free agent, which I am now. So that's where I'm at right now.
So you're kind of waiting for July 1st to come and kind of see what happens, right, with all the movement and stuff like that?
I thought so, but I met with my agent here last weekend, Todd Reynolds, and he said he's good. He knows Fenton, who's the new GM, and he said he was going to give him a call and talk to him. So basically I just want to know from them and their standpoint, like if I'm going to be a player for them in the NHL as a prospect, or am I going to be a depth guy? So I'm still chasing an NHL dream. I respect everyone's opinion, but I want to go somewhere where someone still believes in me playing at an NHL level.
Sure.
I don't think I'm there yet at 25. I think I'm a guy that it takes longer to develop. I've always been a late bloomer, so and I'm not. I told Craig Channel that he's like, "What do I tell my GM if I'm going to draft you?" That's one of the questions he asked me, and I said, like, I'm not going to give up. Like, I don't care, how much shit goes wrong. I'm just going to battle through it and try to make it. So that's what I'm doing now.
No, it's amazing, man. And if we look back, kind of, I have a couple questions about even like minor hockey. So, at what age did your dad get you on skates? Like, were you a 3-year-old, 4-year-old kid starting, or were you a bit later? Or?
I think like 4
Yeah.
maybe. We were on like a pond. I have a picture.
Yeah.
Like crappy pond, just standing there. But I think my mom put me in figure skating.
Yeah.
For 2 years. Let's
Yeah.
kind of like got the couple badges
For sure.
before I got into house
Yeah.
league. So
And that was a big. My mom's a figure skater, and that
really?
was a big thing
that makes sense.
growing up. Yeah, but that was a big thing growing up. Is a lot of parents would put their kids into figure skating to begin, and then I never did, but a lot of the parents did, and then flip over to hockey. And nowadays, I find like if you're gonna figure skate, go to figure skating. If you're gonna play hockey, go to hockey. There's a lot of good guys and girls that teach hockey skating, so I think it's different then than now because
sure.
we were talking about the ice. We didn't have skill coaches growing up. There was nobody
Yeah.
doing private lessons really,
Back
right?
in '97, right? This is like
There
nothing
was
like
nothing
that.
like that, right? So now things have evolved a ton, going forward that way for sure. But I mean, even just the story that you have, like, and a lot of kids think they have to play AAA and Atom and Pee Wee
Right.
and Bantam, and I'm big on no, man. Like, you can play AA, you play house league for a bit. The biggest thing is enjoy the game and work hard because you're a prime example of hard work pays off. You played with a lot of guys in minor midget and Bantam and all the way through that are way better than you.
100%.
And if you look back on those pictures, how many guys are still playing?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple factors. They didn't like to play. They weren't, as in love with the game, so they didn't have as much passion for it.
Yeah.
And then I think that's the first thing. Two, they kind of, they started getting away from it. Whereas I kind of grew into hockey. Maybe they were pushed at a younger age. I was never pushed. I played baseball, high level, basketball, volleyball, everything you get under the sun. And then it just kind of led me to hockey. I wasn't a kid at 10 years old knowing I'm going to be an NHL player.
Yeah.
It was at 17 I decided to pursue hockey. That's really what that happened. So it kind of happened organically. I don't think of course there's guys like McDavid. Like, he's from Newmarket, my hometown, and I know he was like 10 years old
Right.
making obstacle courses in his garage in his free time. In my free time, I was playing video games or I was running around with my friends.
Yeah.
That's special. But for me, it was that kind of just found it a little later.
Which is common, man. But I see young guys like not McDavid's skill, but they love it, man. Like, that's all they want to do. And parents come to me like, I think you should play other sports. I agree, and I think it's very important to play other sports. But if you're a young boy, let's say you have a young kid, and he's like, I just want to play hockey, Dad. Well, why would I take him to the soccer pitch and play soccer? We'll
agree.
go play on the Sundays and have fun with it.
Yeah.
But
Play street hockey. At
Right.
least you got to stick your hand. Like,
Exactly.
I wish looking back at how passionate about the game.
Yeah.
God, like, you seen this kid on Instagram? His name's Roman James Marcotte or something. You got to look this kid
Yeah.
up. 8 years old in Alaska.
No, is he sick?
He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Lemieux and Crosby flew him down to the Penguins.
No way.
To meet him because he's 8 years old. He skates better than me.
Yeah.
Like, you
It's
show,
crazy,
it's
right?
nuts. So
Yeah.
I wish
Yeah.
I had that at that age.
and these young kids, man, like you see, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, some of
They're
the stuff
flipping
they're
the pucks.
doing.
I'm just learned that like last year. I know how to
Yeah.
scoop a puck now, and these
Totally.
kids are picking up and spinning and stuff. I'm like, Jesus.
Now, the one thing for me with that stuff is I love it. It's great, and I love seeing the skill set of it. But you be honest with me, is that going to work in the NHL?
No,
Not a chance.
But that's how it makes it fun for them. It's not like going
Totally.
out and like his dad does all the videos. His dad's not going, you're taking 100 slap shots and you're doing this.
Yeah.
They're doing goofing
Go
off
have
in
fun.
between like that.
Exactly.
But that's how it makes it fun. But
Totally.
I wish I was like that when I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah. And I think there's a fine line. Like, I wasn't pushed either. I mean, I started when I was 9, so I was late. And my dad played hockey. My mom was involved in power skating and figure skating, and never pushed me.
No.
It was always up to us. Hey, you guys want to play hockey? No. I'm sure my dad was losing it, but okay, fine. And then one day, yeah, I want to play. Like,
Exactly.
okay, wow. And I think that for me was very important because I didn't feel like I had to go to the rink. I wanted to go to the rink. And then when I found it, just kind of like you, and that light switch went off, I loved it.
Your
Like,
dad took you when you were like, no, then you meant you would never even gotten to the point to want it, and you
Exactly.
wouldn't be sitting here. So
yeah,
it's
no,
just-
totally. And it sounds like your parents were very similar as far as just kind of letting you do your thing and letting you figure out
100%.
what you wanted to do, which
100%.
is
just
which is
expose
huge.
him to everything and
Yeah.
let the kid do what he wants to do.
Yeah. And you mentioned something really quickly, and we don't have to dwell on this, but you obviously had a big loss at 10 years old.
Yeah.
And when you look back on that, that's devastating for any family and any child that's that age. But when you look back on that now, is that one of those moments in your life that really kind of helped define who you are as far as strengthened you and
Probably.
got through a lot of stuff that year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years after?
Yeah, this guy named Garrett Joyce did an article on me. He was doing a profile on the Owen Sound Attack, and he kind of interviewed me just to kind of get an idea of things. And he found a story in my own story that he wanted to just do his own side story on. And he really took that, and that's true because I got through that, right? Me and my mom just got closer. She learned, she's like a scout now. She could know it. She knows everything about hockey. She's the best parent ever. So I was able to she became mom and dad. I understood what it meant to be like down in the dumps, even as a 10-year-old. Like, I didn't know at the time, you know what I mean? But it just kind of, you're right, it shaped you a little bit.
Totally.
And I feel like that's how, when I had all these bad years, this history repeats itself. I'm going through a tough time right now. Like, I'm a UFA. I'm trying to get faster, change with the game. I'm trying to be a better player. It happened so many times. It happened when I was 10. It happened when I was, going to play major midget when everybody else is off somewhere else. Then I trained for another year and make the OHL, and that's crazy. And I'd get in the dumps there. So I've just been, it's just down and up. It's just, you just know if you just do the right things, work hard, have the right intentions, you're going to get out of it. So, like, I just tell my mom, I'm like, here we go again. Every time something goes down, I'm like, here we go again. Injury, never had that before. Here we go. You got to dig down in the trenches again and bring it back up. But that's what life's about, man. Like Joe Rogan talks about his podcast. He's like, people love to be comfortable. Like, you want to be comfortable, go. Like, you're going to never be satisfied. Like, you want to be tired and exhausted. And I'm going home after this. I'm going to eat. I'm not going to go out. I'm going to sleep. I'm so tired. I couldn't even shoot the puck on the ice today. Like, you got to want it so bad. And that's what gives you satisfaction in life, not just, I can snipe here and do this and do that and then go hang out with the boys and there's time and place for that, but you have to be all in on one goal. But that's what makes life interesting. It gives you purpose. 100%
agree. I think the grind is what it is, right? Whether that's a hard workout or something devastating that happens. And I'm sure, like, I've had some bad stuff happen to me, you have, but when you start speaking to other people about it, you realize one thing that's nice about it is I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Someone else, maybe it's different, but they had a really terrible experience with grandpa or aunt or whoever. And you're like,
somebody always had it worse.
Everyone's got their story, right? And at the end of the day, how did people overcome that? You didn't hit the booze at 19 years old, and you know what I mean? You didn't fall off the rails at 20. Like, you've kept it together. You're obviously a very motivated guy and playing at an extremely high level. And the thing that I've gravitated to right away, even talking to Gravo about you a little bit, is you got a hard work ethic, and sometimes almost got to pull you back a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And even with the young kids, I think a lot of them sometimes they don't know what kind of work to put in. And we all did this. We worked too hard. Maybe we, did bench too much. And why do you need to do bench? But you do things too much, or you're not focused. And I think one thing that you've learned over the years is, we talked about when I first met you, is get a good team around you.
Yeah.
So someone maybe helping you out with your diet, someone with your workouts, with your skills, with your mental part of the game. And when you have a team around you that doesn't give a shit if you ever play in the NHL again, that's the best thing.
Yeah, and they're not yes people. They're not everything.
Exactly.
I think, Kurtis, do that. It's like, no, don't do that. Like, my girlfriend, she's a psych major. Her dad's a psychologist. They're helping me. Like, it's actually like meant to be why I'm with her, because like, mentally, if I'm in the right place mentally, I'm an NHL hockey player and I can dominate as a third line, fourth line winger. I know I can. Like, I've had games where it just feels like I'm like unstoppable, but that's when all your ducks in a row in your head. You gotta be in at least in a certain minimum state of mind to play at your elevated level. And I think that's what's so understated about these guys that are so good. Like these, I'm sure I met Perry. I'm sure I'm gonna meet Couture and Dowd. I'm sure that it's just they're almost like, I'm over analytical, but for them being so talented, being more carefree, it works better for them.
Totally.
It's like like you said, when Dowdy stepped in the ice, you didn't have to really say anything about his skating, but at the same time, that's him in his head just being confident. Like,
totally.
So people just think you get faster shot, you're gonna get faster skater, or better shot, you're gonna be like better confidence, but it doesn't always work hand in hand.
Yeah.
So that's now what I'm working at, because it's the last like puzzle for me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And having that, like, approaching your game the way that, you want all your ducks in a row. And I think that's super important. You see NHL players that are on hot streaks, their ducks in a row.
They just slump. It, man.
You get in a bit of a slump or a couple bad games in a row, and right away everything goes down.
Exactly.
And you're thinking too much, you're trying too hard, you're doing too much. And then things just fall apart. Where a guy like Dowdy, gives the puck away. Like, he's got that demeanor that's just, I'll see you next shift. I'll see you next. And now he's got such a long rope that if he has 4 games that are bad in a row, doesn't matter. He's going to still play, which is huge, right?
Whereas I'm in the opposite end of the spectrum.
You're in a tight.
Like, I'll literally remember a time where I think it was I was up in the NHL near the end of my month and a half there, and I think it was a 2-on-2 rush, and I wanted to, instead of chipping it into a guy with speed and for sure the guaranteed in, I wanted to just do a little lateral step and then maybe kick it out through a stick to a guy, which I can make that play. But the guy with me thought I was just going to chip it because I'm a simple player. He goes offside. That's a turnover, because now it's a 50-50.
Right.
It's that small of a line, and that's the part that I'm working on. It's you make that mistake or you just forget about it. You have to park it. You have to accept it. You can't dwell on it. So I'm working on all these just strategies just to, not that I'm a head case, but just to work through it. Like, I think people don't think, like, I for a long time just didn't even realize that was going on in my head. I'm still just like, I'll just be better next play, but I'm still thinking about it subconsciously. So it's just working on that part of it.
And it's tough sometimes when you got 3-4 minute gaps to think about it.
Oh my, 7-8 minutes gaps. Yeah, like straight power play game. Great.
Right. Yeah, exactly. sitting there dwelling on that one offside that blew you, right? And that yeah, it's funny because going back to leashes though, you know, when you are a third, fourth line guy that's maybe younger trying to get in the league, your leash is so small that you're squeezing your stick hard. And that's the same thing with minor hockey players. A kid who just makes AA or just makes AAA, he's nervous, doesn't know the coach, is not part of the mix. I mean, you're overthinking things, right? And you're going kind of crazy about it, and it's a mess. And then your game goes to shit. But you can't play.
You can work on everything. Like that's the thing. Like there's not anything you can't work on. There isn't. You're too small, like we were talking about earlier. You're too small, then get gritty. Be a guy that's like, I hate playing against short guys. Like I'll play against guys that's 5'8", but he's strong in his skates. I can't get him.
Yeah.
If I hit him, I'm gonna bow him in the head and knock him like on his face, and I'm gonna get a penalty. I'm gonna hook him, or like you. Everybody has strengths. I'm big, so I got to use my reach. I got to use my size, but. If you're small, you got to be gritty as hell. There's always ways to figure out and get around it. If you're good enough and you can get around it, you're going to be able to play.
Totally. Yeah. No, for sure. We were talking to a young guy that's a short guy, and we were saying, I think the one key thing too is, I was talking about on the ice as well, but you got to be either, if you're going to be short, undersized, you got to be super fast, real quick feet, really, real skilled, or really tough.
Just gritty.
And not fighting tough, but gritty. And being able to take a hit, give a hit. Yeah.
100%. Grit's not, I'm not talking fighting toughness. It's like, not losing battles, like winning 90-80% of your battles, or even if you do lose, you're picking up that guy's stick, chasing him down the rest of the ice to strip him. Like that's great.
Exactly. When you were growing up, like as a minor hockey player, who were some of the guys in the NHL at that time that you kind of wanted to be like, kind of mold your game after?
I mean, I just watching the Leafs. So that was back then it was Sundin. So he's just a big dude that just was the perfect leader. He was kind of quiet, but he just played like an animal. He scored that one slap shot goal against Calgary. It always stuck in my head, like way far out. Like, so him probably, and then probably like a Ginla, because I think I've always liked the guys that can combine the skill with the toughness. Yeah, even if I was Connor McDavid's skill, I would have been more like I'd be a guy Shanahan running people through the wall too. Because I think the combination of that is what makes like this. I think that's special in a hockey player. So like Lindros, I didn't get to see him play, but I'm like obsessed with watching that guy's YouTube videos. People come to hit him, and he's just literally one see ya, two see ya, just putting people on their ass.
He was unreal, man.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah. The kicker with him was, he did play with his head down a little bit, right? You saw like a couple of times.
Nobody wanted to even hit him.
Well, he's so big, right? He got away with it.
Yeah.
But again, like you go back to, like what's one thing we talk about all the time? Shoulder checking, knowing where you are. You're a big guy, but you got to do it, right? So even and he was amazing to watch when he was on fire. That Legion of Doom, their line was unbelievable. Like they were so good. And he would just crush people and then dangle. Just a couple of strips. Yeah, exactly.
But you're right. Like, if I'm a high hockey IQ guy, but if my head's not if I can't see the play to make, I can't just guess.
Totally.
What's that? It's guessing. That's not playing simple.
Yeah,
I have to check every time, so I know when I can make that cross ice play that's a crisp pass, or I don't have the time and I got to get a puck out on the wall, or I got to eat it. That's another thing I've worked. Just eat the puck sometimes. If I put it in my feet and get up against the boards, where no matter where I am, all my team will get in their position around me. We're not going to get scored on.
Yeah, totally.
You can just eat it and chill. Like it's worse to just throw it off somewhere and have everybody scrambling. So that's another thing I got to continue to do.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then going through minor hockey and stuff, and obviously, there's going to be politics, AA, AAA, house league, doesn't matter, right? How was your mom through all that as far as dealing with the politics and all the bullshit behind the scenes with the parents and stuff?
I literally got cut one year because the other kid that was close to making the team like me, his dad was just a closer friend of the coach, and everybody knew he'd be on the team. And I literally got cut for that. And I'm trying to remember. I have to ask my mom, but I'm pretty sure she was in there with me. And I said like no way, like that's crazy. And we knew, and he's like, sorry, like that's just the way it is. So that happens. It's the nature of the game. But I just went down and played single A and had fun. And I was whatever at the time, 8 maybe or 9 or 10, and I just kept playing, and just can't let that stuff bother you. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. No, for sure. And it's funny. I look at teams and I talk to parents about this. I'm like, you look at a 15-man roster, let's just say, right? Your top 6 are going to be there. They're legit. They're good. They're real skilled. Whether it's AA, AAA, doesn't matter. Your middle 6 are pretty good in and outs. Maybe some kids coming up and down, whatever. But that's your middle 6. Your bottom 5 or 6, 100% politics. Mm-hmm. I mean, and if you coach a team and I'm good buddies with you, we golf together. My kid's just okay, and you don't know Johnny's kid, you're going to probably take my kid. Yeah. Like they're kind of equal levels. Mm-hmm. So that's frustrating though for kids, like. Because at the end of the day, you're taking a spot from a kid who maybe deserves it, or maybe has worked hard to get that spot, and he's not going to get it. Mm-hmm. But does that happen in life? 100%.
It's hard for me to say because I'm the type of guy that like gets real angry at things and gets real fired up. So in that situation, even me now, I'm in my head, I'm feeling like, oh my god, if I got cut for that now, like how mad would be. But you have to look at everything at the positive side of things, because if not, you're just burying yourself. You're just hurting yourself. Nobody else cares at this point.
Yeah.
Are you going to get mad, or you're going to be better about it. Go down and play single A if you don't get cut from double A. Dominate single A. Get your work on your game there where you're a top 6 player there, and then work up. Maybe you won't even be a bottom guy the next year. You'll be the middle guy in the higher group next year.
Yeah.
There's always a positive way to look at things, and those are the people that keep moving forward. Is the positive people.
And I think you're right. Like it's how you approach that setback, right? And if you work your ass off that next season, that off season or season, get your skills better, get bigger, stronger, all that stuff, you're gonna have a way better chance of making that team. But a lot of kids don't. They go the other way. Like, I'm
gonna play basketball now.
Yeah, I'm playing double A. I'm never gonna make it.
Exactly.
And, and I think having that drive, man.
Yeah.
And even like, let's just say that you never played past Owen Sound. Let's just say you went to CIS after that, which is fine. Played in a good league. You had 4 years of schooling done. You know what a schedule is. You know how to set goals. You work your tail off. Like those are all to me life skills that are going to turn you into a good father, a good husband, a good provider. Like all those things. And when I meet young players along the way, there's some that are missing certain things.
Right.
Mom and dad take care of all their adversity,
I hate that.
Right, and then they never have to worry about anything. They don't even say sentences for themselves because they ain't getting answered. Right. Where I meet a guy like you, and obviously you're a bit older, but I mean, you're gonna be fine, whether hockey pans out or not. And I'm sure you see that too. Like, I'm gonna be okay. I got a good family, good support system, and I've learned how to overcome these obstacles along the way. And I think that's huge.
But I think also, like everybody, even my girlfriend's dad asked me, "What's your backup plan?" I'm like, there is none. Like, whatever I'm doing, I'm going all in on it, and it'll lead me to whatever I do after. I don't need to have like, oh, I need to do this in the background or work on. Like, no, I'm all in on something. I can't be any other way. I'm all in on something. So, like you said too, like. Going to college, look at Joel Ward. That it's already been done. So if I had done that, I would have just been thinking.
Path,
I would have just been like, I'm going to be. It's like going to NCAA after the Like you're just going to develop into a better player. There's no fighting and all that. I could have just developed. Like it's just the way you look at it, and then I would have gone into pro as even a better hockey player.
Yeah.
So there's a positive way to look at every situation.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And he's a great. I mean, he's been playing for a long time.
I know.
Too, man.
I feel bad. He was scratched a lot now. I guess he's slowing down.
Yeah.
That's what he's done is unbelievable.
Yeah. No, for sure. I remember I was at National Predators Development Camp, and obviously Ward played there, and Trotz was talking about, he's like, here's a guy making $1 million a year just to be really strong on the wall.
Yeah.
And they love him.
Big.
Like, just plays pucks on the wall, good at picking pucks up off the wall. But one of those skills that he's really good at, and pucks are on the boards all the time. Obviously, he's got more to his game than that, but that's his number one thing is when the puck's coming around, he's making plays with it. And obviously, time's going to catch up to him. He's getting older, but
what a great career.
Yeah, man, he's
scored
stretching.
huge goals in the playoffs. Some of those OT winners where he scored like 3 or something, right?
Yeah,
like big goals.
No, for sure, man. Yeah, so it's really cool to see, and we can look at it. There's 1,000 ways to get to the NHL, and you said it's all or nothing right now, and that's fine. I mean, if you weren't all or nothing right now, I'd question it because if you're thinking, I think I'm going to be an accountant if this doesn't work out, then that's in the back of your mind. No.
Dude,
there's no nothing.
That's a safety net for you. You're just going to be complacent and think, oh, I got this. Like I like thinking that I have nothing. Like I almost think that you know what, you don't make it, you're just going to be a bum. Like I sometimes think it that way because I want it so bad.
Sure.
And people, my mom, I've had some people say like, well, at least you played up there for a month and a half. And I'm like, that just made it worse. I'd rather not know, to be honest with you, because I know how sick it was. It was, you just get up and I remember I couldn't sleep for the first maybe week really well. And then I got into kind of more, I was able to relax before bed. I was like, wow, I'm not leaving. Every day I was like, oh my God, I might be leaving. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, I know I'm going to be here the next day. So I got to get better sleeping, but I literally would jump out of my bed in the morning, and I can't describe that anymore. Like I read in this hotel and the alarm would go off and I would be flying in there to brush my teeth and get to practice and work on stick handling before. I just want to do anything. And then I can't even imagine like that feeling and then taking that feeling to becoming an actual vital part of a team where the boys just, because I was starting to get to know all the boys. I was starting to feel like, wow, like we had, team parties and guys are like, Gabe, like you're doing it, man. We need this. We need this in the team, and you're feeling that. And then to go into a Stanley Cup and to win, to be that guy on a Stanley Cup winning team like that, that's thinking far ahead, but that's like, I can't even imagine the feeling of that, even me just playing middle of the season, meaningless kind of games. And how fun that was. So it's that's the drive for me, because it was the best feeling ever.
And when you get that taste, right? Like that taste of being up there,
still in my
it's just
mouth.
Like, oh man.
It's been a year and a half.
And you're food's better, the travel's better,
never
hotels
hungry,
are better.
Never hungry league, man. There's steak, salmon, chicken on every ride. Doritos here, and it's like, oh my God, you got to like make sure you count what you're eating, because you get fat real quick.
Well, it's funny, man. A lot of guys say that. Like, there's dessert everywhere. There's little munchies here, munchies there, and it's man.
I'll never forget. I went to Chicago pre-draft. So if you're not a guy that's at the combine, they'll fly you into these little mini camps for the draft. And I went to Chicago as one, and they had this massive. We're in this hotel room. We go down to the meal. I'm like, oh, there's a meal room. Never seen an NHL meal room. it's like a ballroom, and the whole every wall is just lined with food. There's like gluten-free pasta. There's like whole wheat. There's like every type of noodle.
Yeah.
Every type of salmon cooked every type of way. I was just like, dude, this is nuts. It's nuts. I want to do this the rest of my life.
I know, for sure. No, that's awesome. Well, I want to wrap up with just a couple of like kind of fun questions, like some. And if it leads into anything else, it's great. But who's one of the biggest beauties that you played with, as far as just like a guy that you couldn't wait to come to the rink to hang out with, just because he's got stories, that lives a life a bit, and kind of, and it could be the AHL, it could be the OHL, it could be.
Yeah, I got to play with Ryan Malone a little bit, and he's like kind of legendary, like beauty. So as far as like that kind of guy that's a little on the wild side, that was pretty funny. Chris Stewart was really good to me on the wild. I remember the year that I had the best chance to kind of make it out of camp, he came over and right from the first day, like, hey, it's you and me this year, big boy. Like, let's go. You and me are going to mess this league up, kind of thing. And just kind of being really friendly as far as that. Like, that's what kind of makes you feel kind of included. Suter always just cracks me up just because he's such an elite player, but he's just so like he's just goofing around with. I'm very gullible, so I take things very serious. He would mess with me all the time, chirp me about those shot blocker things out of my skates. Like, I remember that kind of stuff probably the most. Like, those NHL guys that are like treating you really well. Jason Pominville would drive me home from the rink. I have his gloves. That's what I'm using. Pominville on, but he was really good to me too. So things like that stand out to me when the really top guys treat you well.
And those real pros are the guys that are accepting and like not looking at you like, oh, he's coming to steal my job. Like, not all inclusive, and again, totally. And that's, as a young guy coming in, how important is that, right? You often talk to kids about, we don't really teach leadership a lot, but when you go to the OHL or you go somewhere and that captain comes up to you and says, hey kid, how's it going, man? How you doing? How's everything? Like, that doesn't happen a lot. But if when you do have that, like guys like Palmville and these guys and Suter, like how accepting does that feel, right? As a young guy, you're like, okay, man, feel way more comfortable because you're kind of out of your skin when you're there. It's a different atmosphere. You're nervous. You don't want to mess up. You don't know what the ranking in the locker room is, right? Like,
yes. Like I've had some guys who played with Pittsburgh with Crosby and stuff, and I've heard some crazy stuff. Like, as far as if you want to treat a kid like a rookie, he's going to play like a rookie. Like I've heard stuff like where, Crosby's like the first guy to make sure he meets everyone, take you around everything. Like that is so important. And I tried to do that when I was assistant captain in Owen Sound, just trying to take guys in my wing and teach them everything. But that's huge when older guys can. And like I can't. When I met a junior A Hurricanes player when I was like 12, I thought that was meeting like a god, right? So I always love doing that stuff now and trying to teach as much as I can because that's what I'm going to ultimately do. That's talking about a backup plan. I know I'm going to be in hockey eventually. And I love what you do, and I love helping people, and I like seeing that improvement. Like improvement in anything is like the spice of life for me.
Oh, it's huge, man. It makes you feel tingly inside, just like, oh man, you really actually helped somebody, or they got it. You're like, oh man, it's sweet to see that happen, And one thing I've noticed with you over the last weeks, we've kind of known each other about a month now, but it's just how personable you are with everybody. Like I came up today, you're having lunch with some random little junior hockey player telling you stories about what he's doing.
I don't even got his name. You're just shooting and stuff.
It's awesome though, man. And even young kids, and you just said it, like those young guys look at you like, oh man, like you came out on the ice this morning and there's a couple other guys that are there and played in the O and like, oh, right away, like, oh, that's Kurtis Gabriel. Like, I hear him kind of chatting, right? And it's cool, like, and a lot of times I don't think pro guys understand how much of an impact they have, whether they're spitting on the floor or they're swearing too much or whatever it is. These young kids pick that stuff up right away, right? And they want to be that, so they're going to start spitting or they're gonna, whatever it is, and I think it's really important to be that role model and just the way that you kind of outreach a little bit sometimes and go out of your way to say hi to somebody. And every time you're on the ice, if there's a kid out there, for the most part, you come over like, hey, how's it going, bud? Like,
I mean, I don't think you could be the role I play and be not like that. Yeah. I think, a team would weed that out real quick. Like you can find plenty of other guys to do this role kind of thing. You better be a good teammate and stuff. And you can't force it. So it's just part of being a good teammate.
100%. And like when you look at kind of who you are now, who do you think your biggest influences are? And it could be father, your mother, guys you played with, like on certain areas on what they've kind of influenced you on. But who are some of the biggest influences that have kind of developed who you are today, you think?
Well, first, of course, my mom first, just because she didn't know anything about hockey, right? And she was a teacher, grade 8 teacher. That's a lot of work. You get summer off, but she's working all day, and then she's picking me up, and I'm going to 10 o'clock practice in Markham, and she's sitting there marking papers till I'm off the ice at 11:30. Then we're going to drive 30, 40 minutes home. That kind of thing, where it's just like, whatever it takes, we'll just get it done. So it would be, okay, we got to work on skating, and you're working out this summer, so we would just look up who's the best. she'd put the money in for me, and I'd make sure I go bust my ass to take advantage of as much as I could. So that I still do that to this day. I'm gonna go home and call my mom and be like, "Hey, great day of skating. Think I got that quick start with Blazer a little bit better. I think I turned my blade a little bit more. Like, I just she wants to, she's as much of a part of the journey as me, and I wish I could be up in the NHL and have that father or mother's trip where they come, because I would die to have her come do that and just see because I think she just lives through me with what she does. And she's a teacher, but she sees me going after like what I really want to do, and then that just is really special for me. So that first of all, I think Mark Reeds was like a really good influence on me my first year, just seeing how he ran a team. Like it was just a fun team to be on, but you worked your ass off, like that kind of team mentality. John Torchetti was a really good coach for me. He was a coach in Iowa, and then he was a coach up in Minnesota for a bit. But I really liked the way he coached. He was just his mentality. He was a really passionate guy like me. Like, he was sleeping in cabs coaching his first team, and I don't know what the hell league, and worked his way up, and now he's league. So like, I love that kind of stuff. And he was like really like taught me things like along the wall, like, because he played the game and stuff. I really like that. Coach Lalonde, as far as like a mindset, my coach in Iowa now, he's a calming mindset. You just try to take as many things as you can from as many people as you can.
Any player that you played with, like, I know you said you had some beauties, but any player that you played with where you're like, man, if I'm 30, 35 in this league, that's who I want to kind of be like that guy. You know, it could be a Stewie, it could be somebody like that you're looking at, you're like, is somebody that just kind of embodies all those characteristics that you love,
Trying to think, like Cal O'Reilly was a pretty good captain this year. He's he's played 100 games in the NHL. He's like a guy that gets it as far as just when it's game time, you just raise your level no matter what, how you're feeling. Yeah. I really like playing with him this year. Mike Weber was with us for he blew out his knee a bit. I think he played in Sweden a bit, but he played with us a bit 2 years ago and just grinded it out. Yeah. Like, stay at home D-man, just does whatever it takes, good teammate, good cap.
And
like,
he's got a bunch of games in the show.
Yeah, he played like 500 or something. Yeah, guys like that. I like. Because eventually, who knows? I want to be a guy that can play as long as I can. I'd rather go to Europe if I have to. But I see it's cool, these guys playing down there and teaching younger guys and still making a ton of money playing the American League.
Well, that's the thing now with the American League. If you're studying the American League, I mean, you can make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year, which, I mean, that's
certain teams
better than working at TD in the bank, right?
Exactly,
so, it works out pretty good.
It might lead to that, but I just want to. I mean, those guys played in the NHL for a while, and that's what kind of sets you up for that. So that's always the ultimate goal. Yeah, and one thing I kind of want to leave parents and players with on this is, you've from a young age, you've kind of obviously battled through a lot of different things and kept that kind of goal in sight, right? As far as you got it later, but at 17, 18, 19, 20, like when things started to happen, like, I'm in, like, I'm all in, And the one thing that impresses me the most is that you've accepted a role. You're not, I know you want to go back and be first line guy, but talking to you all the time now, it's like, I want to be a third, fourth line guy. I want to be a dominant third line guy. And kind of, we talk a lot on the ice, but like a Reeves or like a Williams or somebody like that. That's just a guy who works hard. Who's that? Yeah, that Stanley Cup winner, that like McCarty on the Red Wings. That guy was like the fourth line. He could knock the head off anyone, but he was scoring nice goals and doing all the little things. Like that's the ultimate prestige for me, I think, in my role. Is just that guy's tough as hell, but he can play. And he can be part of a team game that excels and brings everybody up with his enthusiasm, his team, his level of respect. I respect the game so much. I student of the game, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's what I think's the coolest. Yeah, I know, for sure. For sure. Well, listen, man, I really want to thank you for coming in today. It was awesome to chat with you and kind of hear your story. And I think for a lot of young parents out there, especially the kids and those young players, I think it's always awesome to hear these. And there's thousands of them, but these stories of young guys that played AA, got cut, played AA, and then never really thought about the draft. And one thing I wanted to touch on too, a lot of parents don't know this, but if you don't get drafted in the OHL, you can get drafted as an older player in the OHL. And same thing with the NHL, right? It wasn't there when I was, I walked on, so there's that midget draft now. Maybe if that was in, I might have got drafted in that. So. And then in the NHL, if you don't get drafted, your draft year in the NHL. I got drafted at 20. So. Right. So, I mean, and that happens. I didn't even know you get drafted at 20. Yeah. He told me, I was like, is that even possible? It's my third year of eligibility. He's like, yeah, it's the last year you can draft it. I'm like, he's like, you might not even want to get drafted because then you get to pick which team you go to. Exactly. And I was like, oh my God, if I get drafted, like, just to hear your name called. And it's such a feather. It's such a feather in your cap, though, man. Like, you can go when you're 50 years old, be like, I was drafted third round. But the mentality I still have, though, I literally forget all the time that I got drafted. Like, but that just shows you how I think. Like, I think like I'm always the underdog. I'm always battling upwards. So guys are always like, you got drafted. I'm like, I did. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can go look at DB. It says right there. I'm like, wow. But it doesn't feel like that for me from where I came from. I'm still like a AA player in my mind, just grinding it every day. That's what keeps me probably engaged every day and not just complacent.
Well, and it keeps you humble. I mean, you're a
100%.
super humble guy. Like
100%.
Yeah, and from the day one that I met you, and even talking on the phone, like I left that conversation excited, and so did you. I was like, I'm pumped to meet this guy.
I want to get better, and this guy wants to help me get better. I'm like, I couldn't stop talking, right? That's
no,
just
it's
how
awesome.
it goes. Yeah,
no, it was great, man. But yeah, no, thanks a lot, and we'll maybe try to do this again by the end of the summer. See how
check
see
in
where
where
you
I'm
go.
at, see if
That's
I think
it.
my mental game's ready.
That's right. That's awesome. Thanks, buddy.